Hi everybody, this is Dr. Seth LaFlamme from Works Chiropractic. I'm here to talk to you about training your brain out of pain. A lot of people come to our office complaining of back pain, neck pain, problems with their ankles or elbows, shoulders, etc. And so of course they think about that spot and they think about having something wrong there. And certainly that's the part of it. The joint's not moving right, if it's stuck, if there's scar tissue, these types of things, that can be part of the painful syndrome. Now I've used an S word there, syndrome. A lot of times when people have what they consider to be simple pain, or it's usually, it comes and goes, it only happens about once a month or something like that. They don't consider this to be a syndrome. But the truth is that any pain that's not associated with immediately rolling your car over 10 times, having it catch fire and explode with you in it, or falling out of a 10-story building, or nearly slicing your finger off with a knife like I did fairly recently. That pain is actually most likely an aberrant, abnormal response that you're having. Pain is quite simply a survival mechanism that you use to tell you that there's tissue injury or that there's soon to be tissue injury, and to rectify it so that you don't actually have the tissue injury, or so you can address it and not die. The type of back pain most people get where they lift something moderately heavy that shouldn't hurt you, like a 50-pound weight, or their toddler, or their dog that they like to carry around the mall, or whatever it is. None of those things are actually a big enough stress to harm the human body. Furthermore, any type of pain that you have that is always in the same spot, always feels the same. I've looked through the literature. I haven't found any basis on which this is called chronic pain, but essentially when it's recurring, it tells you that there's always the same problem. But the question is, why doesn't it hurt sometimes? Why does it hurt sometimes? And then why do some people get stuck hurting all the time? It's because any type of pain without an acute injury, again, a cut, a smack upside the head, etc. It's a combination of things. It's a combination of one, the immediate area where the pain is felt. Certainly there can be a problem, although there isn't always. There are, there can be an acute disc, or there could be a disc injury or a disc decay in the low back, and someone could hurt there. But then again, 7 out of 10 people, studies have shown, are walking around on the street with disc bulges and no pain. So that's not the entire story, and that's why there are so many failed back surgeries out there. Our brain has a very powerful pain dampening or analgesic capability. And for something that you have that's a problem that would be better if it was fixed, but is probably not going to go away, your brain's supposed to deal with that and treat it like background noise. Just like if you buy your dream house in the woods, and then a bunch of party animals buy the lot next door, build a frat house and have gigantic keggers every night. Eventually you'd learn to sleep through the night, right? Just like I did when I used to live across the street from railroad tracks, up in Saco, Maine. You eventually say, oh, this isn't going away, and your brain pushes it into the background. There have to be really two things for pain to be felt. A sense of irritation or pain signal on pain nerves, which is called nociception, but then there also has to be the perception. Okay? And so that's the next piece of this that exists, is that the fact that your brain is allowing you to feel pain all the time, which is utterly abnormal. Anytime that someone is experiencing what's called chronic pain, which resources state, there's disagreement on this, but I'm just going to state the range, anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks of being in pain that you feel at least on a daily basis, is classified as chronic pain. Once you cross into that chronic pain category, you become part of an immense problem that's bankrupting America, if not the world. I'm not saying it's your fault, but it's such a big problem, and it's one that we've had such a difficult time solving that that it's just people are throwing tons and tons of money at it to little or no avail. Often ended up addicted to drugs or a bunch of other things out of desperation because of their suffering. And that's really not okay. So we really need to dive into this and and understand the whole issue. That pain doesn't exist. So anything that's designed to treat pain is actually destined to fail. Just like if you have mosquitoes at your house, if you keep slapping the mosquitoes, the cesspool in the in the back is going to keep spitting them out. So we need to dig deeper in that. So when someone has chronic pain, they don't just have not anymore a problem in their back or a problem in their jaw or a problem in their feet or wherever they happen to be feeling pain, because the brain should be telling them to no longer feel that. So treating that exclusively is no longer an option. Now we need to also look at, well, what about the brain? Why is the brain allowing you to continue to feel that? And so there are mechanisms that predispose you to pain in the brain, and certainly it's correlated to survival. Being able to feel pain is a survival mechanism, and help you to avoid threat. So if you have an increased perception to threat, if you have also the ability to suppress pain is also an inhibiting or dampening type of mechanism. So we need to look at the parts of the brain that inhibit, that tell that say no, don't feel that, no, don't pay attention to that. Having problems with these areas often connected with all kinds of other issues, including attention issues, problems sleeping, digestion, or difficulty digestion, reproductive cycles, a whole bunch of things, because every part of the brain talks to each other, and the brain either directly controls or influences every part of every health outcome in your body, which is why we include functional neurology in our practice here. So the brain is involved in any type of pain because you must perceive it to be pain, and it's especially involved in chronic pain because we know that any pain that goes beyond 6 to 12 weeks should be suppressed by the pain, and if it's not, the brain's falling down on the job. Therefore, we must lift up that stone and see what's underneath it. The third component of that is whenever there's pain, there is also inflammation. So biochemistry comes to be involved. So while your brain is actually in control of the majority of your biochemistry, and so a lot of chronic pain can be resolved working with body and brain, there's the problem of widespread deficiency in the United States. One of them being omega-3 fatty acids, with the essential fatty acids, which are essentially your omega-3 fatty acids and your omega-6 fatty acids. Those are ones that you get from your diet that you cannot make inside your body. And so, the omega-3s and omega-6s should be in anywhere from a 1-to-1 to a 1-to-2 ratio, omega-3 to omega-6. The problem with that is that all the places where we used to get our omega-3s are now no longer appropriate sources of omega-3s, almost without fail. Wild animals, we used to hunt and kill wild animals that ate leaves and grass and all these different types of things, or animals that ate those animals and further concentrated the omega-3 fatty acids that were found in those leaves and grass. See, those animals don't make those either. They bioaccumulate them. Just like a tuna bioaccumulates mercury from eating all kinds of little fish, except the bioaccumulation of omega-3 is a good thing. So the feedlot animals that we now eat, which are essentially made of corn is high in omega-6 and essentially void of omega-3, is basically every time you eat a grocery store burger from a conventional source that's not grass-fed organic, grass-fed, grass-finished organic, all that kind of stuff, you're just getting a great big dose of omega-6 and making yourself more inflamed. And then we look at fish, farmed salmon. Salmon's supposed to be high in omega-3. Well, now they're farmed. Now, guess what? Salmon, they're also made of corn or other ground up fish parts and, all kinds of other things. They're not, in order to get that nice pink color that they have, they're fed dye. So most people are told, oh, eat salmon, it's good for you, it's high in omega-3s. But what you're getting, unless it's wild-caught Alaskan salmon, and you can verify where it came from, because the fish industry is kind of notorious for saying something is what it isn't, you might not be getting it from there either. So a lot of people, instead of being 1-to-1 omega-3 to omega-6 or 1-to-2 omega-3 to omega-6, are something more like 15 to, or omega-3, so 1-to-15, 1-to-27, or more. This is also associated with psychiatric issues at the top end of it. Some of the people who've done some of the most terrible, violent things in our history, very, very deficient in omega-3 and dominant in omega-6. So mental health, we'll think mental, neurological, right? Similar thing. And then there are many other mechanisms. I'm not going to go too deep into the inflammation, down the inflammation road, except to say that wherever there's pain, there's inflammation. Inflammation is very appropriate when you almost cut off your finger and it swells up and turns red or something like that, or you've got an infection and you need to fight it off, or healing is going on. But a lot of times, for a lot of biochemical reasons that stem from the way that our world is compared to the world that our bodies were designed for, we become inflamed, chronically inflamed. And when there's inflammation, pain is only one short step away. So that's why in our office we look at body structure, the sites where someone's suffering may be, if it's physical pain. We certainly help people with other issues like dizziness and memory, problems and that kind of thing. We're really talking about pain here though. So pain at the site, like, ow, my elbow hurts, ow, my neck hurts. But also we look at how the brain's working, and especially with pain complaints, we're looking at those centers that are able to suppress that because they're supposed to. Number 3, we're looking at also at the biochemistry, the main deficiencies, the main problems that are causing people to have such a high level of inflammation that it doesn't take much to push them over the edge into a state of pain and suffering, and making life even harder than it needs to be. So essentially, this is how, by working with 3B, and what we do here is we run our 3B synergy systems, brain, body, biochemistry. We're able to help train the brain out of pain, because ultimately your brain is what's sensing all this stuff, and it's what needs to be taught not to anymore, so that you can go on and go golfing or skydive or whatever you want to do and enjoy your life and leave that all behind and be a whole lot healthier with a better quality of life to boot. Sounds good to me. I don't know. Our phone number or our contact is somewhere on this page or something, so you can get in touch with us if you're local and you need us. Otherwise, think about these 3 things in relation to taking care of yourself and your quality of life, because you'll be glad you did. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with people who need it, because there are plenty who do. Over now.